So we are going to study, we have seen economics of ninth standard. As we have already studied the chapter of story of village Palanpur, okay, from ninth economics. So today again we will have economics, a chapter associated with it related to that particular chapter. And today we will start with 10th standard second chapter of economics, that is sector of Indian economy. So if you recollect what we have done on Friday, the story of village Paralampur. So there we have seen an ideal village, a fictional village, wherein there was land reserved for agriculture as well as land used for production or setting up factories and industries, right? So how it goes on and how, what are the different factories known, what are the sectors of economy that we are going to see in today's lecture. Okay, excited all? This I think so you have already learned the sectors of the economy. You will recollect it. You need to understand few things and you can score better. This topic or this chapter is really very scoring one. Okay, so don't neglect it. So now, sectors of Indian economy, introduction of various sectors of economic activities. Okay, so are you ready for that? Here we go. We have studied about production activities while reading about the village Palampur. Producing goods or services are type of economic activities. We get money with it, right? If why we are producing anything, why we, and we are producing it only to use or we are selling it. We are selling it also. So ultimately it has to come with related with the money, and money means economy. For as of now we have to understand this. As of now I am saying, okay, fine. Now economic activities are classified based on various or certain criteria. Each group that thus gets formed is known as a sector. So according to the activity there are groups formed and those groups are known as sector. The sectors are based on the raw material used to produce the goods or services. Okay. So what raw material is used, according to that the sector is named. So the primary sector consists of those goods who are created entirely by using natural material or material produced through a natural method. Okay. Means what? Naturally grown things, okay, naturally produced. Even though we sow things, but they grow naturally, right? So that is called as the primary sector. That means it is produced by using the nature, not in factories, not in industries. That is the primary sector. Okay, natural method and natural environment also we can say, natural material also we can say. Okay, so if there is a twist in the question, you should be very thorough with this. Okay, so this sentence, what is important in this? The first part what I have already read, the primary sector consists of those goods who are created entirely by using natural material or material produced through a natural method. Okay, so consider the production of milk. A cow or a buffalo is a natural source of milk. Okay, so milk is not produced with some mixtures of chemicals, right? It is not produced in the factory. It is preserved. It is packed and preserved in the factory. It is not produced in the factory. So this sector is thus also known as the agriculture or related sector. Related sector. Now this is important word. Okay, what is the other name for primary or agricultural sector? So it can be related sector also. Such type of MCQs do come. There are twists. So you need to remember very thoroughly whatever you have read or whatever you are listening. Okay. Next one. Yeah. The secondary sector manufactures naturally produced material as its raw material to turn it into a more sellable format. So now whatever is produced in the nature, we are using it, we are processing it in the factory or industry, and then we are making a material which is more sellable, which is more applicable to the consumer. Now this is known as the secondary sector or the industrial sector. Now think about how sugar or jaggery is manufactured. The raw and natural occurring product here is sugarcane. So we cut the sugarcane from the farms, okay, and they are taken to the industries. It is put through certain processes that turns the sugarcane into sugar or jaggery. Okay, so processing is done on it. Its durability is increased, and also like all of you know, we have studied in fifth standard that the sugarcane factories are set up near the farms. Why so? Because the content, the glucose content or the sweetness of the sugarcane gets reduced when it is kept after cutting. It is kept for a long time, so the factories cannot be at the other end of the state or the place. Okay, they have to be very close, then only the glucose or the sugar content from the sugarcane can be used. Do you remember this, students? Do you remember this? We have we have studied that why sugarcane factories are set up near sugarcane farms, isn't it? So to utilize the sugar content, the sweetness, to make jaggery and sugar. Not 2 days also, not also 2 days, dear. Less than that, few hours. Then only you get the maximum extract from that. Okay. Otherwise, the extract, the juice, what we get from the sugarcane is lessened, and that is why the production of sugar and jaggery also get lessened. So profit also get less. Okay. Ultimately, transportation costs. Yes, these are other factors what we have to relate, what we have studied, and what we have to relate with this concept. That is only I'm telling. Okay. Yeah, in lesson agriculture also maybe. Okay. So now next is the tertiary activity sector. The tertiary sector does not directly involve any kind of production. It does not produce anything. It does not process anything. Then what does it do? It purely deals with activities that further the development of primary or secondary sector. Now think in this way that like we just take an example of a sugarcane. Now the sugarcane has been taken to the sugar factory and it is now processed to sugar. Now what you do with all this sugar? There is tons and tons of sugar in the factory. So it has to reach to the market, to the grocery shop. So what helps this? This is done by the tertiary activity. Means what? Providing service, providing transportation, advertising, all this. Okay. It's not only like you take the sugar and it is sold. You have to have some advertisement. You have to have some communication, right? You have to have some transportation. So all these activities come under the tertiary sector, and thus this sector provides services and so is called as the service sector. Now the primary sector, the secondary sector, as well as the tertiary sector has two names, two or more names. So you have to remember all these for your MCQ or 1 mark questions. Okay. Think about how goods produced would reach the market by transportation, and who would provide the finance, reducing the set up industries, that is banking. So it is not that every time you have a lump sum in your pocket and you are setting up the factory, right? So for transactions also banking is required. Financial transactions, banking is required. It does not now it is all more about the internet and the plastic money and all of that. Okay. So you know it in a better way. In which sector would service like call center, an ATM fit? Now this, ma'am, hold on, okay. I would like to have the answer from you in the chat box. Yes. Why? They come under tertiary sector, but why? Yes. They help. The correct word with it should be they provide service. They give service, right? Okay. Instead of help, you should use service. Yes. Correct. Yes. These are services that have recently come up to aid the activities of primary and secondary sectors. Thus, these services come under the tertiary sector. Now, could all these sectors thus be entirely dependent on each other? Are they independent or are they dependent on each other? Okay. So, we have already dependent on each other. So, they are dependent on each other. How? We will see that. We have already seen how the secondary sector requires raw material belonging to the primary sector. So, unless primary sector provides raw material, the secondary sector, how will it work? On what it will process? It has the machines, it has all the things, but if the raw material is there, not there, then they won't function only, right? So, and if the primary sector, the raw material used, it is processed, what to do next with the finished goods? So they have also to be taken to the market. Transportation, communication is also important. Hence, one sector is dependent on other. Okay. So the tertiary sector wouldn't exist if it weren't for the primary and secondary sectors. Thus, all the three sectors are essentially interdependent. They are not independent, but they are interdependent. Okay. So a question might come on this. Okay. Whatever the statement was, that state whether all the sectors are independent or interdependent. Explain. Okay. Such type of or a twist or a different statement having the same meaning can come. So there you need to understand and write it in 3 points, because this question comes for 3 marks. Okay. The function separately but require the need of each of another sector to make their work meaningful. This will be the summarizing statement, conclusion of the answer. First, you have to show the relationship and then you can summarize your answer with this. Okay. You can conclude your answer with this. A very good statement. Now, comparing the 3 sectors, let us study the journey that milk undertakes, right from its production to its delivery at your doorstep. At each step, there are a lot of people and efforts involved. The same raw product, that is milk, is also used in the production of various goods and services. So, you know the dairy products, right? So, in each product, whether it is cheese, paneer, or ice cream, anything. So, there are lot many persons, lot many hands and efforts involved, right? So, how would you count all of them? Also, you are just considering one raw product here. So, if you are considering only one raw material, okay, that is milk. So, how would you count exactly what efforts, like the cost of the efforts and the raw material used? Okay, so now let's see how we do that. Comparing the 3 sectors, now, well, it is very tough. And what is even tougher is setting a value to the same product as it turns into various forms. As I said, it is when it turns to, or when it is processed to curds, then it is processed to buttermilk, it is processed to lassi. So the processes differ, the amount required differs. When you process it for paneer, the amount differs, right? So the cost also differs. If you require 1 liter of milk, then the cost is different. If you require 10 kg of milk, 10 liter, sorry, not kg, liter of milk, then the cost differs, right? So when when the milk is processed to curds, 10 ml of 10 liter of milk is converted to maybe 10 or more liters of curd. But if we compare it with paneer, processing paneer, then 10 kg or 10 liters of milk is reduced to 4 kg of paneer. Okay, so the cost required for two different things from the same raw material differ. Okay, now in case of milk, compare the cost of milk packet with the cost of milk sweets, that is barfi, malai barfi. Okay, so again the same thing. To prepare 1/4 kg of barfi, you require more than 1 liter of milk. Just this is just an example. I'm not telling any recipe here. Okay. So in that case, will be the rate same? Of course not. How would you think the cost of 1 liter? There's a grammar mistake. Liter of milk sweet. Sorry, 1 kg of milk sweet, that is barfi, is fixed. So how do they calculate all this and how do they fix the rates? Think about all the raw material and efforts that go into making it, right? We will also think in the same way. Considering what may go into the making of milk cake, perhaps milk, ghee, sugar, gas, human labor, etc., will be considered. Now, the final product is considered while putting a cost to it. So, what you are exactly preparing, depending on that, the ingredients, the sources required. Source, I'm saying like the human labor as well as gas. So that is taken into consideration. If we didn't, the calculation would look something like this, like milk plus ghee plus sugarcane plus sugar, etc., etc. So it would keep including the raw materials again and again. So instead of that, we just take an average and then we fix the price. The cost of these final goods and services per sector are calculated annually. Okay, to count the total production of sector during the year. This is not about 1 kg and 1/4 kg and half kg of barfi. So this we are talking as an economy of a country. So in this way, so they have to calculate the cost of final goods and services per sector. Per sector, primary how much they require, then secondary how much they require, tertiary how much they require. So each sector final product is being taken into consideration for an annual, for a 1 year. Okay, and then it is added up. When the totals of all the three sectors are added together, we get the GDP, that is gross domestic product of a country. Okay, so that is what is GDP. You need to understand this definition very, very thoroughly. This is a damn sure question to be asked in your 10th standard board exam. So do not neglect it. The GDP of a country defines how well its economy is performing. Okay, if the GDP is high, it is directly related to the economy. Okay, if you are getting good gross domestic product, the GDP is high, the economy is also in a very good condition. So now let's go back to the PPT. Who is responsible for measuring the GDP, that is gross domestic product in India? Any idea, students? So the central government, but there are state government, local government, gram panchayat, right? So you should be very particular. So the central government, various government departments collect the required information and the GDP estimate is then calculated. Okay, so like each in food also there is bakery products, then the milk products are there, right? So in this way, different departments are there in one big department, that is food department. Okay, and they take the survey, they collect the information and then they estimate the GDP. Historical changes in the sector. sectors. So the primary sector was initially considered to be the most important. However, as agriculture developed, so did experiments with natural material. In this manner, the secondary and tertiary sectors began to grow. So one small change ultimately leads to the change in different sectors or further sectors, we can say. Okay. Over the years, the focus has shifted to the tertiary sector from the initial inclination towards the primary sector, especially in developed countries. This we can openly see, right? That priorly, how many people were engaged in the primary sector doing agriculture, and now how many people are increased or involved in the tertiary sector, especially with the IT person, call centers, and all those things, because they are earning like they have good salary, they are moving towards their leaving primary sector behind, right? So this is what is seen in the society. So if you can see, this is what is written, this is what is the textbook material. Okay, apart from this, yeah, so apart from this, I want you to also read this small columns what I am highlighting. Okay, yes, these columns also are important. Okay, apart from that, such tables are also important. Okay, if they have been solved, it's okay. If they are not, you try to solve it by pencil if you have the physical textbook, or else you can just write. If you, the PPT has been shared, you have the ebooks also, so you can just have a table if you want. Okay, if you have time and if you really want to devote it, then this is what, like, let's work these out. So that also gives you information. Questions from in the board can also be included from such things, such tables, every possible thing, whatever is printed on the textbook page. Any question can come on anything. So please do not avoid this and read the textbook. That is what I want to focus on for today while I'm sharing this. Okay. So let's work these out. Now complete the above table. Here, as I have already told you, now classify the following list of occupation. So if you do this, suppose tomorrow, give 3 examples of tertiary activity. Okay, other than so and so and so. What comes to your mind is banking and transportation, advertisement. These quickly come to your mind, and that is why the question can be twisted other than all three, like whatever is easy other than that, then you have to think. So if you solve this, you can recollect the answer quickly. Okay, so not only this but many other things do work with your brain if you solve all this, if you read it. Okay, so do not avoid anything, right? Even here it is there, let's work these out. So go through this, you're going to read it till here. Okay, got it, all of you?
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.